I have 3 children with appetites very different from each other. So I do see some parents who might understand that, know what that means. And sometimes we have to prepare 3 different dishes for them for one meal. So for sure, diversity can give you a hard time. But also, if you think about it, diversity is the way humankind kind of survive, right? Because like million years ago, 3 kids went out around the house and then they found some poisonous mushroom, and then they all ate the same thing, and then they all died, right? They couldn't survive because they have all different appetites. Some would eat them, some would not eat them, and this will be surviving, and then that's how mankind kind of survives so far. So I learned this diversity, importance of diversity throughout my career too. So I was born and raised in Seoul, Korea, and then moved to the States in 2011. And this is kind of what, I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with Ancestry. 23andMe is kind of some people. This analyzes your DNA and show what is your ancestry. And this is kind of like what typical Americans would see. Like, some percentage comes from European continent, or Africans, Asia, and South American as well. But this is what Koreans would see, like 99% Korean or 100% Korean. It's kind of typical for most of people. So it's kind of like a less diverse country, and until I left the country, no, they didn't care much about diversity because they all they think the same way. They kind of like wanted everyone to behave the same way. It's kind of like unique in that sense. I also served in the military as an officer. Military service is a mandatory in Korea, but I decided to do an officer thing. As you can imagine, the army is kind of the least diverse organization mankind ever invented. They wear all the same uniforms, they follow the same rules and everything. And for undergrad, I majored in computer science, and then I decided to do MBA, and also I came back to computer science for my PhD. So if we think about the gender diversity in this region, computer science is not really great. Only 30% of degrees were given to women. And so those big stickers like these are kind of sold. Because people think this is boyfriend's country, but it's her own. But actually, giving the answer to people will reinforce your stereotyping. So this could be a good approach. And then I founded the startup XL8. Well, throughout my career, I kind of learned a lot of things, but with different settings for diversity, well, I definitely kind of like started learning how we should appreciate the diversity and what kind of challenges there are. And founded XL8 here in Silicon Valley. So the entire vision for the company is for diversity, as you can see here. Help the world communicate by eliminating barriers of languages, regions, or circumstances through innovative AI technologies. That's what we do. And we have 2 product lineups here. So one is MediaCat, which we offer AI solutions for AI transcription, translation, and dubbing. So I think most of people here are already familiar with the MediaCat. If you're not, Joshua Pine there is the right person to ask what it's about. And I think this is kind of new to you as well. This is kind of a new product we added to our company. Using AI technology we built for MediaCat, but for more of the real-time events, like the live events, on-site events, or Zoom calls, or this kind of things. So we support Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, so that people can speak in their language and also understand each other, interpreted by AI. And also we hosted a lot of like on-site events where the speakers are speaking in one language, and the audiences can understand that in their own language too. So that's I'll have a chance to talk about more about that later. And now we have around 50 employees. We are still a very small company, but we are speaking natively 8 languages in 9 different global offices because I founded XL8 in 2019, and right after COVID happened, so we had to start working remote, as most of you guys do. And in terms of like gender diversity, we have about a quarter of the people who are women. I think we could do better, but we are an engineering-centric organization, so I think this is heavily affected by the demographics in engineering. So let's talk about what AI we're going to talk about today. So AI, by definition, is any algorithms or program that is written to do something smart. So it's kind of very broad definition. And inside that, there's machine learning. So machine learning is different from the traditional software where you write things. Like, for instance, if there's a red light, you stop. If there's a green light, you can go, right? This is kind of traditional programming. But machine learning is where you give a bunch of examples, and the algorithms learn that automatically. So, for instance, you just give like millions of pictures where there are green lights and red lights, and then cars are going and stop. And then after some training, the algorithms will automatically learn, well, because there's a red light, I should stop. Or there's green light, I should go. So it will learn it automatically. And deep learning is one category of that, where it mimics how our brains work. So it represents kind of the data information and decisions based on how our brains kind of connected. And because deep learning has been working so greatly in the last 10 years, everything you heard about what AI is doing great, probably it's like deep learning. And then because it's kind of like taking the majority of machine learning algorithms, now I think people are using the terms interchangeably. So in this talk, I'll use AI to represent machine learning most likely. So what diversity is we're talking about today? Gender diversity for sure. As you can see in the image, I didn't like the image because today I'm going to talk about diversity, but the image that I found in Google is actually binary definition. So that's what is represented in data bias, for instance, because although what we are kind of trying to see here is like non-definitive definition of like the genders, but the majority of the data is still like that. So even though you're kind of trying to not reinforce yourself, but the data is actually giving you the representative of the real world, kind of like limiting out or cutting out the possibilities. For sure, ethnicity, different races, and cultural, that's different from the races because different races can have the same cultures, but sometimes same races can have different cultures too. Likewise, languages and generations. So different generations can bring different values to the table, right? We're not talking about species, until we have aliens or robots sitting next to us, right? So AI, or what kind of impact can we expect on the media and diversity? So as we all know, diversity is pivotal. It's very critical for organizations, countries, societies, or individuals to survive. And we cannot deny AI is impacting us more and more going forward. In media production, I believe is one of the areas that will adopt AI more aggressively going forward. And media content affects people. People watch content. Sometimes it changes their lives. People believe this is something that will inspire them, and then they change the way of course of life. And post-production is part of that too, sometimes, of course. And without understanding how AI can impact our lives, just adopting AI for media production will be dangerous, can be dangerous, right? Because AI can infuse some kind of ideas that we didn't intend to, and then people will be affected by that. So people will become vulnerable in that case. So I have some examples. What kind of bias are we talking about right now? So one example is forced selection problem. So let's say we have the data there where all 5 teachers are listed, and 2 of them are male and 3 of them are female. And then because the AI knows and then trained based on the data, it knows, well, 40% of the cases it's male and 60% of the cases it's female. But if we ask a question that wouldn't kind of allow the AI to answer in a more diverse way, then the question would be, there's a teacher, what is the gender of the teacher? And then, of course, the AI model will say it's a female. Sorry, it's female, it should be female. Because there's more chance that it'll be correct if you say the majority will be the answer, right? Although the model may have the capacity or capability of telling, it might be different if we know, if it knows more signals, right? So a perfect example would be, what would be the gender of the teacher with a beard or maybe a dress as a male? Then the model will be able to answer it's a male, right? So this is a similar but slightly different problem because I wasn't able to find a better example, but the perfect example would be non-binary genders here, but I wasn't able to find that example here. So for instance, trade workers or this kind of like building-related work, 97% of cases it's a male, and then when we train an AI model based on this data, because the percentage of the majority is already very, very high, the model will be trained in a way to answer just one answer. Because no matter what the question is, the 97% of the cases the model answer will be evaluated as correct, right? So this is different because we wouldn't be able to give further information for the question. So those are two different types of problems we'll see in the bias. And then the next question will be how this kind of biases will be impacting our lives. Is that a real problem we should be concerned? Yes. Amazon used to adopt a hiring ML algorithm, like AI algorithm, where it automatically evaluates each applicant's resume, and then they later figured out their AI system was kind of preferring male dominantly over other genders. Because the AI model was trained to pick up the terms both executed and captured in the resume, which is more dominantly found in the male's applicant, male's resume. So no matter how good or bad the applicant was, if those terms were found in the resume, the AI were picking those, prefer those applicants. So this is a really big problem, not only about genders, also for ages, ethnicity, religions, and etc. And the same problem can happen in video production, right? Now, so far, video production is not the place where AI is contributing a lot, but going forward, in the next 2 years, I believe this will be an area where AI will be contributing most, with most advanced technologies. So, picking particular professions with a specific profile, like genders or ethnicity, will be reinforcing our mindset, right? Although that might be actual profiling from the real world, if we are kind of like fed with this information, then people will think, well, this profession belongs to that particular category, right? So this is a real problem that happens in real life too. And same thing goes with the promotions, insurance evaluations, appraisals, content generation too. So all these are the areas where AI can impact negatively or positively if we do the job well. How? We kind of need to be careful about how we can extract the data and use the data and then what kind of AI models we use. First, we need to make sure the data itself is diverse and inclusive. And the next one is we need to test our AI engines, right? Once the AI model is built, we need to ask questions. What is stereotype that is coming out of the model? The ChatGPT-4 and the question I asked was a perfect example of that. Algorithmic fairness and techniques. This is kind of how we build AI models. When we build AI models, we need to design in a way that it can actually take more signals in and then give you more inclusive and then diverse answers. So we actually had a good example about it because we built machine translation engines, and then we added this, we incorporated this feature for better translation quality by reading more sentences prior to the current sentence we're translating from. Because we give more better context for the translation. Now, when it comes to translating with proper genders, especially from a language where there's less gender information to a language where more gender information is necessary, like from English to French, the current sentence is often not enough to translate correctly into French because some pronouns has to be gendered while we don't have that information within that sentence. But if we give more previous sentences, we can actually figure it out and then use the proper gendered pronouns. So this is kind of the diagram I came up with. So the real world is connected in 3 ways. So data and AI models in real world that we are living in. So to make it a virtual circle, we need to do these kind of things. Otherwise, it may fall into a vicious circle. So we need to remove bias from the data and then to build good AI models. And then once we have AI models, we need to pick the best ones and then carefully decide what kind of AI models we will use for real life. And then once we have real life going with AI, of course, that's happening. And we need to be very careful about how we can get better representation of real life instead of like reinforcing what is already happening. So this is kind of like a small success story we had with the event cat, which is the online and offline live interpretation platform. So we didn't intend to actually just like make this solution for diversity specifically, but I found this later for preparing this talk. We found that there are specific cases where many organizations were using this solution for better inclusion and diversity. So there are gender innovation for science and technology research that has been using our media cat to translating and localizing their video content, and also using event cat to support their live events for their audiences. And there is an art museum who invited all the immigrants who doesn't speak Korean language, so that they can understand the art explanation of the art, and so that they can appreciate the art as well in 9 different languages. And Women in Science, Engineering, Technology were the organizations that has been using our event cat solution very actively by inviting more women, and also inviting foreign speakers who speak English, and then to interpret that into the local language. So those are the things that happened with the event cat. And to make us, let's going back to the AI question. So AI is always a double-edged sword. To the question where it would be a blessing or curse to diversity, it depends on us. And always it's a human and AI that change the world, right? And only through these steps, like carefully refining data, thoughtfully designing AI models, and then wisely picking what kind of AI models for our real life, we can make it a blessing for diversity. Right? If you have questions or don't know how to apply AI for your organizations, I'll be here. Please reach out to me. Thanks a lot for listening.